Hello everyone, welcome to Google Cloud Serverless tutorial. So today we'll go through our first model, which is the Google App Engine. Let's get started. Now the Google App Engine, the prerequisites for this are like Google SDK must be installed and your Google account should be created and billing and all should be enabled. So which we have already covered in the previous tutorials. Other than that, on your local machine, it is necessary to install npm node.js so that you can run on your local machine the code before pushing it to the Google App Engine. Now, the other requirement for from the Google cloud side is like you should have enabled the cloud build API so that Google could connect to it. I mean, you should be able to connect via the API. Then what we have to do is we just can create a simple directory for our workspace. So I'll create a structure called gcloud serverless GAE. Then we will go inside the directory or change directory, and then we'll clone from this our repo. So this is the original repo where the game was built, and I have just forked it and changed as per my requirements. Now for the project setup from the Google App Engine side, we should have our new project created for the Google App Engine, which also we have seen before, and I'll also be creating a new project for our demo here. And below are some of the commands which may be useful. So Google Cloud Init or gcloud init will configure the project, the configurations, credentials, etc. required for connecting your SDK to the Google Cloud. Now Google config list lists all of the account you have configured via the SDK and the project details. Now you can also set your account to the particular email address by using gcloud config set account, and then you have to give the email ID. And then finally, once you have done, you need to go to my GitHub account where I have my serverless project, and in this I have mentioned the Google App Engine, Google Cloud Run, and Google Cloud Functions. So we can get all those things from the below Git link. Going further now, as I'll be using the Node.js project for Google App Engine. So here we have certain files I forked from an existing repo from the GitHub. So we have to do certain changes because Google App Engine requires it, and particularly it runs on 8080 port. So what we need to do is we need to make some changes in the existing repo. You may not need to change any other thing because already I have made the changes and committed it into my repository. So the below are the changes which I have made. I'll go through the GitHub link, and I'll show you what the changes we have made. So first is in the grunt.js. So in the grunt.js file, I have changed the port from 8001 to 8080. So now the application earlier was running on 8001 port. It will be running on 8080 port. And as we know, Google Cloud Engine runs everything via Node. So what we need to do is we need to invoke that grunt script which will start our application server via Node. So I have made certain various other changes which are required from the Google App Engine part. So first of all, like Node we should be using for our project is should be greater than or equal to 10.0, and scripts. So this is the script section where in the original script we used to run grunt connect, so it was not being run via npm. So I have just added this script part to run via npm, which is required to run in the Google App Engine. Then I have added the dependency of grunt CLI 1.2.0, which is required in our case, and the grunt of 0.4.5 version. So these are the various changes needed from the original repo. Other than that, we need an app.yml. So this is the most important configuration file needed, because from here the Google App Engine will take on the all the configurations. You can make the necessary configurations needed for your application, and from this Google App Engine can read the YAML file and it will deploy. So let's go through the changes here. So this is the package.json changes I have already made. So package.json is the file which is similar to, you can say, Ant, Maven, Grunt, or I mean Gradle. So it is the build file for the Node.js projects. So let's move on to our GitHub repository. So this is our GitHub repository, and this is the Google App Engine I was referring to, and this folder has all the changes I have already made. So I made the changes in the package.json here. So these are the dependency section where I was mentioning like what all are the dependencies extra we have added. Like we have added Grunt CLI, Grunt version 0.4.5, and this yeah, these were the dependencies I added, and in the script section I added it here so that npm could run the Grunt directly and make our application up and running. Let me go through the package.json file. So here is are the project details, like what is your project name, version one. These are the various kind of descriptions you can mention for your project. Then bugs, wherever if there are any bugs, where to raise the bugs for. So you can give your GitHub issues URL here. Uh, Again, the licenses part, you can mention your type of the license and give the URL, etc. Now here you mentioned the author. So who is the author? His email ID, engines. So engine also I have updated, like we need for our Google App Engine to use greater than or equal to 10.0 version. So I have mentioned it here for the engine part. So, and here in the dependencies section, we need to mention all the dependencies for our project or the modules being used for our project in Node.js. And here is a script section which will mention how to start the npm or the project from here. And here is the dev dependency. So the whenever you build the project, you have certain kind of dependency, so you can mention it here. So all this section actually should be here, but we because of the Google App Engine behavior, we have to mention it in the dependency section, which we'll discuss later. Now coming to the package.json, this is the most important file because it describes all our modules which we will be using for the project, and in it we can see all the listed install dependencies, dev dependencies, whatever we are using for our project. Now what is the difference between dependencies and dev dependencies? Dependencies are modules which are required at runtime. So whenever you want to have your application up and running, so these are the important dependencies which are required only at the runtime. So these are like React, Express, Redux, Axios, etc. Now dev dependencies are the modules which are only required during the development part of the application. So whenever you are developing your code, so that time you may need those dev dependencies. So these are like Node.js, NodeMon, Babel, ESLint, and some testing frameworks like Chai, Mocha, Enzyme, etc. So actually, whatever we mentioned here, like Grunt, CLI, Grunt Manifest, these things are part of dev dependencies. But as we are using Google App Engine, so it doesn't support the to be declared in the dev dependency section. So whenever the Google Cloud spins up, it runs actually the npm install command. So and has so it has access to only dependencies and not to dev dependencies. So I have mentioned it in the dependency section here. Let's move on further to the app.yaml. So this is the most important file which is required by the Google App Engine, where it reads the configurations and deploys your project. So I have also, for each line, I have given a comment so that you can easily understand what it is doing. Now, the YAML file has a specific format, so we need to follow the format. So here, first line is like we are mentioning the runtime Node.js. So whatever you see in hash is commented section, and whatever you see in the green is the actual code. So runtime here is Node.js 10. So as we'll be using Node.js 10, so we are mentioning it in the YAML that we need a runtime of Node.js 10. Now coming to the handlers section. So handlers section is the one where you list the URL patterns. So whenever your application is run, how it will handle the URL. So those parts are handled from here. So whenever the URL is hit with slash favicon ico, so it should know where to fetch its favicon.ico. Now coming to the favicon ico, it is a small, it is a, you can say a shortcut or a small image for your website. So all the images will be listed in a certain folder. So here in our case, it is data image folder of the source repo where our favicon ico exists. So I've given the path for it. Then coming to the next section, like whatever the user may hit or the client may hit via browser after slash, everything will be redirected and automatically. So I've mentioned it here, like the URL, whatever you mentioned, like suppose you have your website www.udemy.com. So here, whatever you pass after the udemy.com slash, everything will be processed from here. So the secure always here means that automatically all the redirections will be done to HTTPS. So even if you type HTTP and then colon slash slash uh, google.com, so it will come to HTTPS. So whatever your site you're typing, it will be redirected to HTTPS version. Now the redirect HTTP response to return is 301, and 301, that is it is like moving the content of the website. So this is the response code for that. Now script type auto means because all the traffic is served during the entry point, so it is set as in auto mode. Now coming to the part where we will be deploying our source code. So let's get started for the practical hands-on part. So I'll move on to my Google Cloud Console. So here you see I don't have any project as of now, so I will create a new project. Let's name it GAE101. And if you have any organization, you can choose that. If not, you can just follow the defaults and just create it. So it will take a little bit time to create the project. So let's wait for it. And in the meantime, what we'll do is once it is done, we'll go to our terminal and we'll just use this command gcloud init, which will initialize and configure the configurations needed for our project. So we see our project is created, GAE101. Let's get started. So I will fire the command gcloud init. So we can see there is a welcome command, like it will take you through the configuration of gcloud and what is your account's email ID being used here, and are you disabling the usage reporting. So the details are mentioned here. Now you need to pick from the available options, that is to reinitialize this configuration from this project, or you can create a new project or switch to some other existing configuration. So I will create a new project for us with new configuration. So here we need to provide the configuration name. So I can give GAE101. Now you can log in with an existing account or the root account which you have configured for your Google Cloud, or you can log in with a new account. So I'll go with my logged in account. Now it has fetched using the API and all. It has gone to the Google Cloud and it has come to know that we have our project ID GAE101281005, which is this one, which is the one we just we created. Either we can pick the cloud project from there or we can create a new one. So I'll pick from there. And we see our SDK setup is done, and the configuration setup is done for the project. Now what we need to do is we need to create the directory structure for our project. So let's go to desktop, gcloud, and already I have this folder serverless. So what I will be doing is I'll be let me shift it to some other name so that we can start our demo. Yep, so now we don't have the code here. So what I'll do, I'll just go to my GitHub and just use this repository for cloning. Just clone it. So I've cloned the URL. Let's go or change directory. Now we'll go to our GAE path, that is Google App Engine. So here we have the project name GAE Clumsy Bird project. Yep, so we have the package.json. So this is the file I was telling you, it's like similar to the and Maven Gradle, so which is the build for the Node.js part. So the required changes are already made. So this is the line grunt version of 0.4.5 and grunt CLI 1.2.0 and yeah, and the start script and all, which we have discussed before, and dependencies, dev dependencies, etc., whatever was there. So this is the build file is already present here. You don't need to make any changes in case you're using my repo for the build and deployment. Other than that, there was one more file where we make the change, so that is grunt.js. So this is the grunt.js file. So here the port was 8081, which I changed to 8080 as of now, so that our application can run using 8080 port, which is the supported in Google App Engine. Rest, there were no other changes. Yep, so let's build it first locally first. So I will issue the command npm install. So in my case, I have already installed Python, Node.js, etc. If you have not done, just follow the prerequisites and install it. So npm install is run. Now we will see the actual command which will be used to make our application server up and running. So that is npm start was the command. Npm start. So we can see our server is available at the local host now. So this is the game for which our source code uh, has developed or made available. Yep, let me stop it. So this is the same exactly game we should be we would be hosting on our gcloud. Sorry for the noise. I mean, so we'll be using the same game to host it via Google App Engine. So let's get started. So the command is Google App Deploy. As we have made all the changes required and we understood the code change for app.yaml, let me open it once more from here, app.yaml. So this is the one where the Google App Engine will be using for deploying our project. So the app.yaml is ready. If you want to deploy some other app.yaml, and you can try out from the Google search, and you can come to know like how to configure for your respective project. But for simple case, or if you're doing it for the first time, I would request to follow the steps whatever I have done till now. Yep, so Google App Deploy is the command for deploying it on the Google App Engine. Now once you deploy, it will ask for the region to select. So I'll go with the Asia Southeast one. So I'll select 5. It will take some time to deploy the project to the cloud. Yep, so now it shows like the descriptor is the YAML file, and the source project is available at the current directory, and this is your target project in the cloud, and the service we'll be using is default. So whatever you build is in the default service, and the version is this one. So if you want to have different version, you can also do that. It means you can have several versions of your project. So let's continue. Now it is updating our service to default, and it will be uploading all our source code to the Google Cloud Storage, which is the storage in the cloud. So we see our project is deployed, and we get the endpoint here, which is global, available to all. And also we see the traffic split, which we discussed in the theoretical part, is by default. So default, all the traffic will go to our URL. So we see how easy it is to deploy any project to Google uh, Clouds using the Google App Engine. So let's get started. Yeah, so the game has started, and exactly this is how it behaves. Yep. So that's it for the Google App Engine deployment part. So I paused the video for some time to generate some traffic and get some logs and other things. So now we can view the deployed the deployed project to our app engine. So this is the app engine dashboard. So once you come here, you'll see the various details. So this is the summary dashboard, where you can see like uh, front end instance hour usage, and then how much was the bandwidth, then the storage, cloud storage operations, and how much is the pricing for those things going on for currently. Then also like it currently shows the current load on the various pages, images, mp3 files, how much is the average latency, and those things. So if you want more details, you can just click on view traces and go further. So here at the last, we can see the various application server client errors, which as of now we don't have any error for our application. If you want to have more reporting on that, you can go to visit error reporting here, and you can turn on the notifications here for errors if you need, and to know any errors. uh, just now let's explore some other things here. So going to the services part, as of now we have we deployed the default service here. So uh, if you go to the default service, and it points again to this is our game. uh, Going to the versions here, we have only one version deployed, and it is allocated the 100% traffic here. So you can see all the details of the version again here at the right side. Going to the instances, if you go here, we can see the other instances allocated here, auto scale, with the auto scaling done here. So if once you have more traffic, it will be creating more instances. So if we don't have any task queue defined in our service, or the app engine deployment. Similarly, we don't have any cron tab. So if you have any of such things, it will be displayed here. Now here is the Google security scan part. So you can scan your application deployed, and it will let you know the security issues with your application. Then you can further explore into the more into the security sections. If you want deploy the your application, you can have a look at all the other menus available and sort it out the security issues. Then you have firewalls, so you can here you can allow or disallow certain IPs. If you want to have your application access to be accessed via VPN or only some selected IPs, you can do it from here. In the quotas and all, you can see from here like what is the quota usage, how much was the daily quota. So all the things are easily available here now. Then we go to the mem cache here. So as of now, like there is no cache, we are not as we are not using this. So if you want to delete the cache and get the new stats or data, you can just flush the cache from here. And again, if we go to the dashboard here, now I'll show you different dashboards for this. So let's go to summary. If you want to check only the traffic part, you can go to the traffic section here and it will show the traffic graphical data here, which will take some time to load. And you can again see all the details related to the particular graph. Now earlier the log was taking some time to come. So if you see, it is the same command, Google Cloud, G Cloud app logs default tail minus as default. So we have all the logs listed here from the command line also. So all of them are get data, we can see, and these are the images and how is the redirection 200, what is the status code, I mean 200 304 etc etc. So this is for the traffic graph. You can see like we started our project at this time 1:35 and now it's 1:45. So it's almost an hour. So it will display all the data related to that. If you want any other graph from here, if you want to see the only the graph related to the error and other various details, you can just select that error section. And if you see there is no error as of now, that's why the graph is quite stable, and it's at the low, it is zero level. And we can see all the billing data from here, whatever is required. Next, let's see how to delete the project, because if you don't delete it and if you run it for a longer time, if you forget to switch it off, so it may incur the billing for you and it may charge for you. So let's do that. Let's go to project settings, and here we will just shut down the project. So you just need to confirm your project ID. So just paste it here, and it will take few days to shut it down. Though it will shut down exactly now, but it will like the project will be pending for deletion. So the deletion date is here. It will be deleted on 21/7/20 by tomorrow. Thanks for joining for the tutorial.